Hi, everyone. Welcome to this new episode of Table 21. My guest today is Troy Hooper, from based out in California, from Kiwi Restaurant Partners. They do a bunch of stuff like consulting, restaurant development. They'll help with some management and basically help some brands that want to grow. And obviously, Troy is going to tell us more about that. But I thought it was exciting. As I've said before on Table 21, I want to have restaurant operators. I want to have suppliers. All kinds of people. Recently, we had a couple of people on the retail side and on the real estate side, and I thought it was fun to have somebody that works on the development and that area. So, without any further ado, hi Troy.
Hey Chris, how are you?
Very good. Yourself?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Very cool. Well, thanks for coming on. I'm very happy to have you here. If the conversation we had right before we came on air is any sign, I think the next hour should be very interesting. So thanks for coming. I was telling you before, I find a lot of these shows, a lot of more people are trying to produce content. I was seeing something like there was 500,000 podcasts 2 years ago, and there's something like 2 or 3 million now. So there's a lot of content, but not all content is good. So I find sometimes people get down to the nitty gritty too quickly. But I want to play a little game with you, if you don't mind. That's called This or That, because I'd like to know Troy a bit better before we talk business.
Let's do it.
So communication is key in everything we do. Are you more phone call or text message?
I've moved to text.
Yeah.
I've moved to text. Yeah.
A little bit more efficient sometimes, right?
Yeah. Get it done.
Get it done. Are you more jogging or gym, lifting weights or running around?
I'm definitely more of a weights guy, lifting guy. I don't run. Running's bad for your health.
Exactly. Running's good for my dog.
Yeah.
and football players, because I saw some of the Broncos helmets behind you.
Yeah.
Are you more beets or Brussels sprouts?
Oh, dude, both together, cold on a salad. Love them.
Nice. Cold salad or warm salad?
No, I don't like warm salad. No. Cold salad.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Here's a tough one for most people. Are you more chips or ice cream?
No. Sweet tooth sugar. I don't do salt at all. I don't put salt on any of my food. When I cook, I have to put salt because other people require it. But no. I'm one of the largest sweet tooth addicts probably in the United States. It's bad.
So any special flavor of ice cream if you're that, or you'll go for anything?
I'm funny. I love caramel. So like the caramel swirl in a vanilla, just anything caramel.
Nice. It's funny. I love that stuff too, but my girlfriend is very chocolate and that kind of stuff, and she laughs because I'm very fruit. For some reason, my grandmother used to serve me like a raspberry ice cream when I was a kid, like vanilla with some raspberries in it. And she's like, "Why are you having that? Like, you should put chocolate or caramel in that stuff."
No.
So.
Yeah, fruit, all sweet fruit. No, it's funny. We'll lose a lot of viewers right now. I'm sorry, but I don't eat chocolate. Like it's an accent. I'll put chocolate as an accent, but I'll never just eat a chocolate bar or straight chocolate. It's just not fruit. Definitely fruit.
Amazing. Are you more Netflix or YouTube?
That's funny. Netflix dominates, but I recently kind of started following some shows on YouTube. It's very new for me, and we've really gotten into it. We're big into the sailing, boating, yachting life and ocean life, and we found some channels where folks had regular content shows sailing around the world. So we get to virtually leave the pandemic lockdown house of California and go on a tour of Fiji or something. And YouTube's been pretty cool for us lately.
Yeah, there's some really cool. It's funny. Most guests will say Netflix because even here, like, at night we'll watch some Netflix shows, but I can go into some pretty deep holes into, looking at one video takes you to the next. But I found these walks around cities like in 4K.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend was like, "What are you watching tonight?" I was actually folding laundry, and I was doing a walk of Hong Kong because I went to Hong Kong right before the pandemic. And I was like, "Oh, I was there. I don't know if you'll see my hotel, but these things are in 4K, and they're pretty cool to get you out of the house."
Imagine before you go somewhere, absolutely, very cool.
So you're based in LA, so I don't know if there's going to be, but you've lived in Denver. So this question, I don't know where it'll take you, but are you more beach or mountain?
Beach, yeah, 100%. We just spent 5 days in the mountains. I'm fortunate my family has a home up in Lake Arrowhead here in California, so you get to go to the mountain, in an hour and a half. But no, all beach. I'm from Miami. I lived in the Caribbean. Grew up on boats and worked in the yachting world. So it's all ocean and beach and islands for me.
That's amazing. Where were you in the Caribbean?
I lived in a little island called Saba, just south of St. Martin, next to St. Bart's. Actually lived there for almost 3 years. And then spent time in Bimini in the Bahamas, opened a resort there. So that was a work thing. But I've been to almost every island. There's 2 islands in the Caribbean I haven't been to. And many of them I've been to many times. I'm a big fan of the Caribbean. But now we're on the West Coast, so I'm looking at that South Pacific and that Fiji and all those fun places out there are calling me now.
There's so many beautiful places, and you're making me want to travel right now. A couple of years ago, we spent a week in St. Martin. I'm based in Montreal. I'm French, originally. So the
French side is nice. Food. French side is nice.
Yeah, and man, like the kind of food you can find at the grocery store. Yeah, and then we went to Nassau last year with the family right before COVID, and that was pretty amazing too, on Paradise Island and all that. So that was a very I love the Caribbean. Pretty cool places.
Yeah, those are easy places to get to. I'm an out island kind of guy. I want to be where the least number of people are, the least impact. I don't need all the shopping. I just want to get away. But yeah, French side of St. Martin's nice. But St. Martin for me was like Walmart. When you live in a little island nearby, St. Martin's where we went to go shopping.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I'm still new to that. I'll get to the deeper islands and get to the sweet spots. Last question on this or that: are you more tea or coffee?
Tea guy my whole life, but cold tea, iced tea. I'm from the South, so iced tea. But I like my coffee like I like my ice cream, sweet. So basically, I drink ice cream in a cup that happens to have some coffee for the
caffeine in it.
Yeah, so I'm not actually a coffee drinker. I add coffee to things that are sugary and sweet to get the load. That's about it. It's a vehicle.
So if I say cocktail, you're a mudslide kind of guy, and then just throw an espresso on top or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Love an espresso mudslide. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Well, thanks for playing my little game. It's fun to get a bit more context into you and background into you. So you've been in the business a long time. If we look at your pedigree, you've worked for brands like Hilton, and like you said, you open resorts in the Caribbean. Now you're leading the team at Kiwi Restaurant Partners. What do you guys do? Well, actually, even before, what do you guys do? But how did you get to hospitality? Like, what brings young Troy to our industry?
Yeah, you know what? My dad loved to throw a good party. My dad was owned construction companies, but really just loved to have a good time and have some drinks and have some friends over. He's actually famous for having a 72-hour New Year's Eve party every year. And this is where it started. Believe it or not, this is where it started. Very young, 5, 6, 7-year-old Troy. Dad's making, meat trays. Now you got to think in the 1970s and early 80s, guys. The sunken fire pit, or living room. But Dad's making pies and barbecue and making meat trays. And so one of the things I could do very young is be creative, is make up a cheese and meat platter. Like today, we all love charcuterie. Charcuterie is like the big thing now. Well, it was back then too, and at a different time. And so I just got the joy of being able to be creative, be able to contribute, be proud of providing this to people, to our guests. Like the whole idea of hospitality was really just ingrained from day one. And I always grew up just saying I wanted to be a chef. And so I went to culinary school the day I was able to get in, 18 years old. I went to culinary school in Miami at Johnson & Wales and thought that I wanted to be a chef. I had too many curiosities. And so the first kind of major adversity, I spent about 3 years cooking in a couple of different kitchens through culinary school and after. And I was going to college as well. I finished culinary school and went to college for business. And I had some unfortunate bad chefs and bad managers that were terrible and just bad people, and that typical screaming, throwing the pan, kicking you out, taking away shifts, whatever, not just to me, but just in general, that environment. And so I walked away from culinary and said, "Well, I love cooking and I love hosting, and there's got to be another way I can use this." Right. And so I went into the business and management side. I was a kitchen manager, quite funnily, I was very young, 19 years old, and the Hurricane Andrew took out Miami, and I got a job at Bennigan's, and they quickly made me kitchen manager. It was just a matter of needing bodies, right? And the volume, they were the number one Bennigan's in the country because of the volume. We were the first restaurant open closest to the disaster zone, and so, man, just indoctrinated in fire, right? In fire. We were doing, it was 7 nights a week, 2.5, 3 hour wait from the minute we opened until 2 a.m., right? Just people coming just because they needed a hot meal and get out of the stuff. So that really is where it all started for me. And the business side and the ordering and the logistics and the working with vendors and understanding the P&L, that started very young, and I just got addicted to it.
Really cool. And I bet with that environment that busy, the learning curve is really quick, and you get to
super fast.
I did the same thing working for McDonald's, and when I was like 24, and then it's 1 store, 2 stores, 3 stores, same team, and they're growing, and they're like, okay, this is an accelerated curve of learning here, right? But you learn so much. So that takes you through a bunch of different experiences. You've opened up resorts. You've worked in different ways, and then eventually you start Kiwi Restaurant Partners. When was that? How long have you been with this specific company?
So I've always done some consulting, right? I've always done consulting on the side, and so I had a company called Kiwi Hospitality Partners for a very long time. And because I was really in the hotel F&B, resort, then I got into private clubs and golf clubs, and so it wasn't exclusive to restaurant, but with a very big F&B focus. And then about in 2018, I had an idea, and I wanted to be able to do more in the restaurant space. And coincidentally, my father-in-law has been a big dog in the franchise world for 40 years. And, we got to talking about it and said, look, I think there's some things we can do together. And so I created a spinoff. So KRP, Kiwi Restaurant, is a spinoff of KHP. Really, they're the same companies, sister companies, with just, diverging focus, so that we could have people that just work on one area or the other and really focus better in those expertise areas to be diversified, but be very deep in each of those alleyways that we chose to work in. And so that's how KRP was born. KRP was born to be an umbrella company, really, to what Nourish and what we're going to talk about later is all about. But in the interim, has continued to do the consulting and management and franchise work that we did at KHP, but really focused on restaurant concepts, new brands, new emerging concepts, and genres of cuisines, et cetera. So we really like to be in that new space and forging the next thing, really, in QSR, fast casual predominantly. But I have a fine dining background, despite Bennigan's. I have a fine dining background in resorts and hotels, and so we try to bring that sensibility and that quality and that attention to detail into that fast casual and QSR space.
For sure, and that's a really good point, actually. That the perception that you can only put attention to detail in fine dining, and that sometimes it doesn't matter. I mean, the principles are the same when it comes to management, whether you're managing QSR or fine dining or fast casual, anything in between. But the practices of how we do it may change. But I did consulting for years too, and I always told my clients and the people I collaborated with, if you give 4-star service and what's considered a 3-star restaurant, this is where you build loyalty, and you're making people come back, and you're maximizing your return on investment for marketing, right? If it costs the acquisition cost of bringing somebody in, if they come back 2, 3, 4 times, so just bringing that level of service a little higher than what people would expect in an environment like yours can have such a huge impact. So.
And that's the word. Expect was the word, right? They expect 3-star, and you're able to over deliver, right? Always under promise, over deliver, but be authentic and be real. But absolutely, if you can walk into a space and have a mindset of what you're going to get, and this is kind of, to me, how gastropub, that's fancy. Well, that just means the local dive bar got a really good chef or cook, right? And it went from crappy fried junk, horrible food to, wow, this place has got good food now. And now you're a gastropub. But I love those. That's my favorite genre. And but the same thing, you walk in, you're like, okay, I know what I'm getting here. I'm in a dive bar, and then all of a sudden a tomahawk steak comes out, at $95, and you're sharing it, and you're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever eaten. So
Yeah.
exactly the point is you can set that people, you have to beat their expectations at everything you do.
Yeah, consistently, which is where some people fail,
Yes.
is they manage to hit certain things, but then they don't do it over time, and that's where it hurts a little bit, and it can hurt a brand for sure. I want to talk about the brands you're building, but before that, I said it in the intro. With KRP, you do some consulting, some development, some even management and guiding people. I'm guessing some hand-holding, and you can correct me, but I'm guessing supporting, hand-holding, helping people that have an emerging brand or a brand they want to bring somewhere and say, how can we help you scale and go to the next level? Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, and the generalists are not always well regarded, but the beauty is that we have such a breadth of experts on our team that we are able to handle and focus on any area. So we will do a single department area of your business, revitalization, rebrand, turnaround. I'm a turnaround specialist. So I go into businesses, look at the entire thing, break it down from 100,000 feet to an inch off the ground, and then re-engineer it, inside out. That's what I do. But we have people on our teams that are very specialized. My partner, Mark, is building franchises from the ground up. That's what he does. Systems, processes, manuals, training, big picture, stuff. So KRP is able to do any of that. Where we like to live is you have 1 to 3 stores, maybe 4 stores. You've grinded it out. You're killing it. You really want to expand, but you really just don't know what the next step is, right? Yeah. And you've built it up as best you can, but you really do need somebody who has that experience, that expertise, knows the roadmap, knows the not the shortcuts, but knows how to get from A to Z efficiently and with an appropriate investment without wasting. Because unfortunately, a lot of people just waste a lot of money trying to figure it out. When if they just hired some help, they probably would have got there faster, spent a lot less, and made a lot more. So we like to live anywhere in the restaurant space. We'll work with you and help you out, but we really want to be your partner. We say no to more opportunities than we take because it's really about a mindset. We are entrepreneurs. We've owned and operated our own and other people's businesses. And so we look at everything globally. And so if you want us to just worry about this really minute little thing, it's never the one thing. The thing you think is the problem is just the symptom, right? So we look at things like we're your partner, like we co-own it. We're more like The Prophet. I think he's on CNBC. We come in and look at the whole thing and really have an idea about all the areas of the business that we can help you with, just to get you to that big picture, right? Don't just pour medicine on the symptom. Let's look at the total cause and get you where you want to go. And we're that partner. We're that in the trenches, literally rolling up sleeves on the line, behind the register, getting that intelligence, understanding that customer, understanding your culture, and helping you develop what it is, the vision you have is to get where you want to go.
Very cool. You obviously, like you said, there's brands that you'll work with that are in a certain place where they're thriving, and sometimes it's getting that information. And a lot of people are like, well, I made it this far myself, I can make it further, but sometimes these can be costly mistakes, and there's a lot of things that can blindside you. So getting a team, and you have a pretty good sized team too, from what I looked at your website.
That's the executive team. Yeah, we've got a really deep bench, and everybody on our team is there for a reason, right? We have a specialist in every area of everything hospitality. So hotel all the way through QSR and everything in between. We have people on our team that have 20 plus years experience in all the departments and all the areas, being the executive, general managers, regional managers, national franchise leaders, CEOs of Fortune 100 companies. So these people on our team are deployed with purpose, right? Yeah. So that's what, when I say generous, that's what allows us to focus on any problem in any organization in the hospitality space, and for KRP specifically in the restaurant space. Is we've built this deep bench of really talented, wonderful people too. Like, the great thing is when you're in this echelon of company, everybody thinks people have big heads, and in hospitality, you can have a lot of big heads, but this group is all humble, and really the heart is we want to help. It's the heart of hospitality for us. We're servant leaders, and we want to we just want to help get you where you need to go and where you want to go, and be as successful as you think you can be. And for us, we want to hold your hand. We want to work with you as closely as possible to help you get there.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think that's the great, that's the best approach to it, to see it as a partnership, and seeing like we want to see you succeed and we want to save you some time. And my dad's always said, experience is like a toothbrush. Nobody wants to use it after you, but sometimes it's worth to surround yourself by people who know it. Would you have some tips? I'd love to hear you on. A lot of times, you said before, there's people like you pass more opportunities than you jump on because either it's not a fit, culturally with them or with your team, or you don't think necessarily the people are in the right place. I've seen that many times in consulting, right, where other people may have taken the gig, but I was like, you know what, for different reasons, I don't think I can help you, and that would not be beneficial to you or fair for me to pursue this partnership. But what are some, if the people you work with? I don't know about you, but you were saying when I go in, I'm a turnaround guy, and that's what I've done a lot of as well. When I started, I was working on 100 things I wanted to attack, and in the end, I was working on about 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 things that basically turned stuff around very quickly. When you work with emerging brands that want to grow, what are some of the 2 or 3 most common things that you see that are opportunities for them? Like I don't like the word weakness, but where you say, if we can help you guys in these 2, 3 areas, then we can put the rocket ship on this and help you expand. Are there a couple of things that you see more often that our viewers may get enlightened by?
Yeah, slow down. Have patience. I may invoke Gary Vee a couple times here. There's a lot of life left. You're going to be doing this until you're way old, okay? And we hope you are, because it means you've done something right. Yeah. Take the negative and ego sides out of some of the issues. But what I see most often is people want to go from A to Q to triple Z tomorrow, and don't want to respect. There is a process. Look, we do it faster than just about anybody else, especially on the franchising side, if you're ready, but everybody's at a different place. And so there is a need to take a step back and analyze everything. And look, I can analyze a business in a handful of hours. I could eat 2 meals there and observe enough to give you a 9-page report. But the reality is let's take 30 days or whatever it is, 3 weeks, and really understand what's going on. Where did you come from? How did you get here? What pieces and parts are missing? Because here's what I find. Most really successful 1 to 3 store operators or teams are just soldiers. They just grinded it out. They willed it to be, right? And they're killing it. But they never stop to look at areas that they didn't address, right? And it's always process, system, whether it's an SOP or, the point of sale is always a disaster because you just keep adding,
8,000 items in the POS. Yeah.
It's like my Explorer. Like I probably have the same file 42 times for everything because every time I go to look for it, I think of it in a different way and I move it there, So there's these sort of the fundamentals. At the end of the day, it's the fundamentals. And it's either a lack of knowledge, which, a lot of the people that succeed come from outside the industry, right? And they will it to be. And so they get where they are, but they don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And so for us to be able to take the microscope and really, and from a big outside look all the way down to the minute, and then come back and say, okay, here's the gaps, here's the opportunities, here's the things we would do, change, enhance, amplify, take to the next level. You've had a great idea. Maybe you didn't hire the graphics guy to do the logo. Logo might need a little touch, whatever. We look at the entire thing from how do you become McDonald's, right? How do you become Chipotle? And that's everybody's thing. We're the next Chipotle. I can't tell you how many times I hear we want to be the Chipotle of whatever. Great, fantastic. You can be that, but you can't get there without looking inward and opening up the books, so to speak, opening up the closets. Let's find those skeletons, because at scale, those skeletons will sink you. Period. End of story. A lack of those things. And I'm in California. It's a fantastic place to be and have an understanding about business and employees, because it's one of the most difficult and challenging and litigious places in the world to be in business, especially in the restaurant business is very difficult. So it's a great place to be a benchmark for anywhere else. If you can pass the test in California, you can essentially survive just about anywhere else. And a couple places you can say that for, but even New York with all its regulation. But stop, take a breath, realize there's a process here. The tip is you're going to get there, and you're going to get there faster and more efficiently if you take a couple steps back and clean up the insides here and set yourself up for success so that you can replicate, because replicating is all about you not being there all the time. You can't be at 7, 10, 12, 15, 20 stores. You can't. And you can't hire enough family members and friends that love you and want to look out for you've got to have this process put in place. For sure. I love that. And the way you've said it, like when, people are in there grinding, working hard and having the results. But that's something I've always said too, right? Is as an operator, of course, you're going to have to be there, and you're going to want to be there with people in the trenches to live and understand and have an impact on the culture. But you have to be able to have a view over your business. And like you said, take a step back, take a look at it and say, what does the business need, right? Not what my employees want, not what I want, but what does the business need to succeed? And then eventually, what do I need to do if I want to be able to duplicate that? So many times I've worked with people who are like, well, this is nice that you do it, but if you get kidnapped by aliens, God forbid, or hit by a bus, how are you going to, so this means you can't duplicate that in stores 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, Chipotle 1600 or whatever it is. So really good stuff. And if we were to push a little further in that, when you work with people, I'm sure that you've lived the same thing that I have, wind up pretty much having to focus on the same stuff. But I want our listeners, and I want people to hear this. Operationally, what are some of the weaknesses that you see? I mean, you've worked, like you said, in F&B and hotels with your clients now and all that. What do you see operationally as being the weak spots that tend to come back over and over, or I should say opportunities again that people can attack and get the most results out of quickly? I think there's still, especially in the single unit operator or first couple stores, there's the mentality, especially when they go to open store 2 and 3. If we build it, they will come. Our reputation will replicate. And just because you survived at the corner of Avenue A and Avenue and Street B, you go 3 blocks over, especially depending on your market, that doesn't replicate. Those people don't know you. Okay. And so in the restaurant space, if you get your systems processes down and you can replicate operationally everything identical, it may still fail. And actually we see store 3 is almost always the store that failed. I have 3 stores and one's not doing well, or I have 5 stores and one's doing okay and the other one's really failing. We got to close it. That's just kind of a lack of understanding that just because you exist over here and do really well, there's a formula, and it may be a secret sauce, and it may be the universe, and who knows what's happening there galactically, but that's succeeding and this isn't. And more often than not, you just kind of lived on that wish and a prayer that, oh my gosh, I'm doing so good here, of course I'm gonna do it there. So marketing in the restaurant world is the most undervalued, underspent, understood element of communication, right? Like you can't just open the door, turn on the light, and hope people are going to show up, especially today, right? It's just the world has changed. And so that's really hard for people to understand. And you only have to, even if you've only been in the restaurant industry 10 years, right? Facebook didn't exist, 12 years ago? YouTube, Instagram, all these things it's too much, right? You've got to get help. You've got to have a plan. You've got to understand what the consumer needs from you to make a decision that they want to try you or they want to come back. Of course, execution, consistency. You said it earlier. My number one word in the entire universe is consistency, because we are fickle. I will go somewhere 3 times, and if on that 4th time they really let me down, service, food, whatever, I might come back that 5th time just to make sure they didn't. That just was a bad night. I'm going to give you the grace there, but boy, most consumers don't, right? You get one shot. Every time's like the first time in a lot of cases. So you've really got to take a step back and realize that if you properly spend and plan and deploy and you get help in your communication, in your design, in your deployment of ads and advertising and marketing messaging, you can set yourself apart, because in the space, most people aren't doing it well.
Yeah.
Or at all in many cases.
No, for sure. Very good insights. As you said also before, when you want to grow, a lot of times people, obviously, you don't have enough family members, like you said, to have people you trust and to make sure that they care for the business like you do. How do you help people, or even how do you approach having building teams? Like I'm sure you guys live it here. It's been a subject for years, but the lack of workers, of finding quality people that stick around and all that. How do you build from within, and how do you make sure that people have the team that they need to grow and to be able to expand?
Yeah. Don't look. This is a big subject, right? We could do an entire show or two on this. But number one, people are not a tool. They are not your instrument to achieve your goal, right? They're people. Like, people have lives, and they have aspirations, and they have goals. And whether you're in a market like now where it's very competitive, because there's a lot of opportunity for people with the maturity of the internet, right, to make money. Most of your employees have side gigs, period. Half your employees have podcasts, and they're creators, and they're on Instagram, and they're TikTok, and you don't even know it. Do you know your employees? Do you know them as real people? That's number one, because that investment of interest and time will gain back 10x the loyalty that you hope for, right? Paying them well, giving them a good schedule, feeding them. That's not buying anybody any loyalty. Loyalty is a human-to-human connection, and you've got to start with that. So you've got to be authentic. You've got to be genuine. And look, if you've got a rough personality, or just understand what your strong points are and your weak points are, lean into them, and you'll attract customers. You attract your customers come to you because of you and what you do, and your employees do the same. So it's okay. In South Florida, there's this pizza joint, bunch of New Yorkers, and it wasn't a shtick. Like, there's places that do these things as a shtick, but everybody in there was a jerk, and it wasn't for fun. Like, they did just like, be cool, like chill. Like, I went in there just scared, but everybody was the same in there, right? They attracted that kind of people, and the customers were New Yorkers that were used to that and loved it and could banter back and yell back. Great. That's a universe that built itself. Yeah. Understand what your culture, you want it to be, and who you really are. Live it authentically and attract those people. And then you've got to give people a path. You've got to say, look, here's the reality of what the situation is. I want to grow. I want to expand. What that means is I have to do other things, and I need people like you to do the things I've been doing, and I need you to do them with heart and passion and love, and as much as you can, be as much like me in this area, and I want to reward you for that, and you've got to build those relationships. You've got to sit down and get to know these people that work with you and give you their time, because they're not doing it for the money. Period. End of story. Yep. Money is not the number one factor for staying or going in any job by anybody. People walk away from money and take lower paying jobs for better culture, more promise of a future, whatever it is, more time off,
top on the back,
freedom, whatever it is, right?
Yep.
So don't say, oh, I got to pay them more. And I hear that on a lot of places right now. And that's not the answer. Paying them more is not the solution.
That's amazing. I love that you bring the human element into it, and it's like building that relationship with them. And so many people think it's the money or it's the beer at the end of the shift or whatever. And I saw a study recently that was actually done in hospitality, where they did a test between more money, like a bonus, beer and pizza at the end of the week if we achieve certain things, and the other one was compliments by your manager. And I'm sure you'll know what went further, right? It will definitely money was last, then the pizza was appreciated, but what really meant something to people was that appreciation, that tap on the back. And sometimes it's not even just appreciation. It's not just being told you're good because you're good. Sometimes it's being told, hey, you know what, I appreciated that, but we could have done better on that, and can I challenge you on this and try to approach it this way and help people grow. When people know that they're growing within a business, they feel that they can go somewhere, right? And I think that's so overrated. Actually, I should say underrated, but taking that time to get to know people is very underrated. And
let me give you some quick hot tips here, okay?
Sure.
And I'm not patting myself on the back.
Yep.
When you see a group of people grinding out and getting their ass kicked on a Friday night, there's some fun opportunities. And at the end of the night, when it's the craziest and busiest, I learned this at Bennigan's in the middle of, it just was never going to stop, right? The hurricane thing was 6 months long. It was never going to end. I learned this here and I've replicated it. Stop everything in the highest point, busiest, most tickets on the board. Stop everything, pull everybody into the kitchen and say, I know what you're going through. You guys are kicking ass. Thank you. Let's go. Keep up the energy. We're going to get through this. I would walk out with a service tray. I would stand in the server station doorway to the kitchen with a service tray with large shot glasses, rocks glasses of Red Bull. So I'd burn a dozen Red Bull and everybody get a half a can or a quarter can or a third of a can of Red Bull.
Cheers.
As they walked into the kitchen, it was like, take a shot, take a Red Bull, take a Red Bull, have this. Most of them thought it was liquor half the time. You know what? Here's the reality. A shot of beer, a cold, refreshing beer, you give them 2 ounces of beer, ain't nobody getting drunk and having an OSHA complaint or workman's comp complaint. Now, that's a little controversial, I know. I would leave the building an hour before the shift cuts started. I started to see, okay, people are going to start getting cut and going home. I'll be right back. Management, hold it down. Don't let anybody go home. Don't cut anybody. I'll be right back. California, I would go to In-N-Out Burger. I'd order 50 In-N-Out burgers and fries, and it would take 20, 30 minutes, and I'd be back in 45 minutes. And as you walked out, if you wanted to stay and stand around and eat with us, great. And of course, at the end of the night, you had the last bit of the shift, and sometimes I've done it twice, right? Do it if you have 50 people going home tonight, do it with the front half and do it for the last, and get the kitchen, feed the kitchen. God, please feed the kitchen. These unexpected moments, right? That's all I'm saying. Perform authentic human touches with your team when they least expect it. And when they least expect it is when we're in the weeds and we're getting our butts kicked and we're having fun, but it's hard and we're sweating. And, a pat on the back and a keep it up is great, but it's not always viewed as you see me, my needs. And it's a little bit of empathy, right? If you've actually worked all the areas of the business, there's managers that haven't. That's okay. You need to learn this. You have to understand what your people are going through and get on their team. And yes, rolling up sleeves and working the line and expoing is all part of that. That's viewed as what you should do, right? What you can and could do are other things that really is what you should do.
Amazing tips. I love that. And yeah, investing money to show your appreciation and means a lot. But like you said, just stopping everybody, saying, everybody come here. Like, we're rocking this. We got this. You guys are amazing. Like, you get that feeling. You said it and I was feeling like I was getting goosebumps and I was like, yeah, man, like we got this. And it kind of brings you back to, oh my God, we're pretty amazing and we're doing some outstanding stuff. So that's a really, really good tip, is that human element, right? And one question I've been asking a lot along that line of, it's hard to find employees, it's hard to keep them, and so on. But have you ever asked yourself, would you work for yourself?
Right. A great one.
And if you don't, then start looking, like you said before, start looking inward and asking, okay, I understand I might be rough. Like you said before, some people are rough, some people are not, Mr. Jovial or happy or this, and that's fine. But treat people like humans. And you said your word, consistency for me is the secret word in the restaurant business. But I think as a human being, as a leader, the secret word for me is empathy.
Yep.
And you said that, and empathy is not sympathy. It's not, I'll cry with you. Empathy means I can put myself in your shoes and try to see things from your point of view. Because that doesn't mean I'm going to bend everything we do to fit your point of view. But that means I can maybe explain things or treat you in a different way, right? The classic of treat people how you want to be treated. I say treat people how they want to be treated, and then bring them into your
Nobody
team.
gives toot about, I'm trying to keep it clean. Nobody cares about how you want to be treated. They care about how they want to be treated. And it's different for everybody. That's another point. Again, when was the last time you took your line cook or your prep cook, or if you have a janitorial staff, when was the last time you sat down with them in a booth, slid them over a piece of pie or cake, handed them a beer or whatever, and said, hey, how are you doing? What do you need? What's going on in your life? You know, that takes time. That takes effort. That takes give a shit. But it pays off 1,000x, like, period. If your motivation is simply to earn loyalty and not have turnover, it's worth it. But if your motivation is, man, I really want to invest in my people and have a relationship and understand them and give them what they need, understand that everybody's different. Everybody's motivations is different. And what I usually tell teams, especially in turnaround, when I walk in on day one, but I tell all my teams, anybody I hire, look, I know you're not going to do this the rest of your life. You're not going to be a bartender, server, busser for the rest of your life. You might. About 15% of you probably will stay in the industry and work your way up the ladder. And that's great. And I'm going to give you everything you need. But I understand that the experiences here, if you really appreciate them and you really do your job to the best of your ability, and you let me show you what that looks like, and you let me help you, that skill is going to translate to whatever you want to do the rest of your life. Trust me, it's the military. Why do kids that don't know what they want go in the military and come out with intense focus and understanding and process? And it's the same story. I tell them, I know that, okay? I'm not trying to make all of you general managers of multi-platform restaurant businesses here. What I'm trying to do is succeed in my business, but help you succeed in your life. And if you do that, it's over. You'll have the best people recruited. They'll bring their friends and family that they know are nice and good people. They won't refer the jerks of their circle to your restaurant to work.
These are amazing, amazing tips and nuggets. You and I don't know each other a lot, but obviously, like I said before, principles are principles, right? They don't change. Practices may change, but I totally agree with you. And it's hit me really hard when after maybe 10, 12 years, I was running multi-units for one of the, if not the biggest, brand in the world. And a former employee was 16 back then when he worked for me, 15 even when he started, I think, which was like, 14 here's the law. And he was telling me a story about how I told him one night, he was complaining because we had to put out the grease in the grease bin outside, and it smells like, pretty horrible if you've ever done that. And he said, you had told me, and he says, I remember that to this day in his job, and he's a radio host now. And he says, when I do something I don't want to do, it smells like a bit like beer. And I said, I told you that? He's like, yeah, I was complaining about putting the grease out. And he said, can you smell that? And he's like, yeah, of course I can smell that. He says, no. I said, can you smell it? It smells like beer. He's like, why? I said, because soon. And I said that he's 16. You can drink at 18 here. But I guess I was going for a beer and not him. Disclaimer. But I said, it smells like beer because once we're done with this, we're closing up shop and we can go and see our friends and do something else, right? But it had hit him that if his frame of mind was positive about that path, but, that was working for me in a burger chain at 15, 16, and then at 26, 7, 28 years old, it's still something that followed him. And I had that happen a few times. We don't know the impact we have on the people that work with us when we take that time to treat them like human, how it's going to follow them, like you said, all their life, right? I had the same conversation about why I was being a dick about how to sweep the floor. And I said, if you do this excellently, in 10 years, you'll still have that standard and that in your work, and that's gonna, anything you want to do in life, it's gonna follow you, right? So I love how you bring that, and it's building that team unit, that empathy. And like you said, I love it when you said, when's the last time you sat down with that line cook and slid that piece of pie? I don't know how you approach it, but I always said, if you don't sit down with everybody at least once every 3 months to have an impromptu talk about how are you doing, how things at home are, things at work. And this is how I learned who's leaving, who's going to Australia for a trip next week or next month or in a few months. And it gives me an idea of who I'm going to have to rehire and all that. So these are amazing.
That intelligence. Yeah, that's serious intelligence. You get it.
And building rapport with the person as well, right? Yeah.
Susie's quitting tomorrow. They'll tell you.
You learn so much, right, in these talks. So,
yeah. It's just too powerful not to do it. And, the other side is I understand if you have a lot of people, like you talk about multi-unit. Look, most organizations I've ever run are well over 100, 150 people minimum. The other side of that is give permission. Open door policy is bullshit. Give permission. Tell them, I have expectations of myself. If I make a promise or say we're going to do something or I'm going to take care of something and I don't do it, please let me know. Hold me accountable. Okay,
Yep.
you have to hold me accountable, and you trust me, they will, especially now. And young millennials and Gen Zs will tell you like it is without you asking. But you got to open that door and make yourself available so that they will come to you. And with anything, with life, look, the best. Somebody comes in my office and closes the door and is crying, all things stop. I turn off the computer. You've got to be a human and be like, what's going on? Because if you don't, the ripple effect through your business is disastrous, right? You've got to care enough that when you say the door is open and you say you can come to me and about anything, I really, and then there's times you have to be willing to say, look, I can't we don't have the bandwidth right now. We don't have the money right now. Or we want to do that, and it's a great idea. Why don't you go work with 2 other people? Come back with my options. Will you go do the internet search? Like, look, help me, and people will go, oh, okay, I'm in. And they go and grab 2 people, and it's a project, and they come back with ideas, and now you have new to-go packaging, or now you have better lighting in the doorway, or the bathroom is smelling better. Whatever the problem was that they wanted to take ownership of, you got to empower your people and give them the freedom to do it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to end up right back where you were, and nothing changed. At least
they're not going to burn the place down, right? I mean,
right.
You have people that you trust that are there, like, give them the power to learn, to grow, and you'll be most of the times, like you said, you may be in the same place, but most of the times you'll be surprised with what they come up and what they can do. So empowering people and showing them that you give them the power to be all they can be will make them 10 times more efficient or 5 times more efficient to what they do. So that's amazing stuff. Obviously, you help other people build their brand, but you guys at Kiwi are building your own brands. And I want to hear about Nourish. I want to know where it came from, where it's going. Tell us about that.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. That's exactly it, right? We got a bunch of old guys over here. I'm the youngest, probably at 45, and we've all been there, done that, and I wanted to do something of our own. I wanted to take all of this knowledge and access to experience and resources and build something that we think, as anybody who starts a business, we think we can do it better. We're kind of gap people. We see gaps in places. I created a brand called Sandwich without the vowels, SNDWCH, a number of years ago, 8 years ago in my head, 6 years ago on paper, and all that. And it's been a journey, but finding a gap in a genre, and the world has changed, and it's changing at an exponentially faster rate every day. And so one of our consulting clients was Mangia Organica, a one-off, better for you, organic, traditional Italian eatery in New Jersey, intentionally built in a lower income Black and brown community to bring healthier food options to that area. And also to prove that the stereotypical what people want to eat because of what their background is or what community they live in is BS. People want to eat good, healthy, clean, tasty food, period. So it doesn't matter what it is. And so we got together. Now I have 2 brands. And we had some more ideas, and we had tested some other ones, and we had some partnerships. And ultimately, we end up with 8 owned brands, new and unproven and proven. And we're sitting here going, okay, what is the commonality of all of our mindset? The commonality of we want to serve regional, sourced, seasonal, quality, clean, organic, healthful food. We want to do it in authentic cuisine ways, menus. We want to bring options to people who their options are not fantastic. Panda Express, blah, 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 blah. And then the advent of the ghost kitchen is what really changed our mindset. We actually finished designing 2 Mangia Organicas in New York and New Jersey right before this all kind of changed on us. And we were going to do the one-off thing. There were going to be sandwiches everywhere and manjas everywhere and Rad River barbecues everywhere. And we realized, the world's changed, and it is going to quickly go from where we are today to where it is now and beyond. So ghost kitchen, virtual branding, what is all this? Let's get into this. And what we figured out was the one shop, one stop food hall, as small of a format as you could get it, would make a lot of sense. And that people want good, clean, healthier food options, and Sweet Greens can only go so far, right? The Chop Stop, I had one across the street from me, ate at it 4 days a week probably. You can only eat so much salad, to be honest with you. You really get sick of it. And so we wanted to bring options in that genre of that space, but we wanted to do it in some fun ways. Have you ever had healthy barbecue? I bet you think your Chinese food's healthy, and it's really not, right? American Mandarinized Chinese is not healthy. Panda has this beautiful cabinet of fresh cut vegetables, and then it all comes out brown. And it's all fried and breaded, and what's going on there. So that was the impetus, right? And Nourish, actually, we realized we needed to name the darn thing. I said, what happens when we put all these brands in a building? Where are people going? What are they going to? What are we going to call this thing? And so Nourish was born. And so Nourish is the umbrella. Nourish is the venue. It's the space. And for us, we're venue agnostic. We took the Ghost Kitchen model of you can run 6 or 8 brands on a 400 square foot line if it's optimized and the food and the menus are optimized to cross utilize. And we said, we have 6, 8, 10 brands. How can we do them in small footprints and replicate them very quickly? And so we're on the verge of launch. We're coming out with pod kitchens first. So custom built, used to be shipping containers that were converted. That's matured to ground up custom builds of modular units. Every major brand has ordered thousands of these things. All the new models are stacking these modulars in different configurations. But we're going to do 6 to 8 brands out of a modular kitchen. We're going to do pod parks. We're going to do one-off parking lot activations. I'm really excited about putting a pod in the middle of an industrial or the edge of office commercial, not necessarily in the center where everybody's at, but kind of in that no man's land where people are coming and going and need options. And we can just drop those things very quickly and replicate that very fast. For us, what's unique is we proof everything first. So the traditional model of opening a restaurant is got a great idea, got a great menu, hire a good chef, pick as good a location as I can afford, tell as many people as I can, and pray it works, right? And then go through that process and then try to replicate that. And it's really a cross your fingers, hope you win kind of deal for most people, unless you do a franchise, right? And you're leaning on a brand. For us, we data proof everything first. So we're very fortunate to have some partnerships that give us access to very high level, very accurate, very up to the minute data that tells us what genres are doing well, what specific brands are doing well in specific locations, and what is the requested genres and food types, at what level are those at, and how are they not being fulfilled, or are they being fulfilled very poorly or from too far of a distance? We take all that information, and our brands are like Legos. We will insert in and out and create a curated combination of brands for the specific location. And so we're not here trying to make every one of our brands McDonald's. We're trying to make Nourish
the brand,
and as big as Sweet Greens by itself, or bigger, certainly bigger than Sweet Greens, because we have diversity. You have a family, 2, 3, 5, 7 people in a house. Not everybody wants to eat the same thing together every night. That eat what's on your plate and what I put in front of you world is over. That's my world I grew up in. Now it's I want what I want, when I want it, where I want it, how I want it, and make it quick and easy, right? And so we will be bringing every one of our collections of Nourish. You will be able to order it anywhere, and how you want to call us, we'll answer the phone. App, we have an amazing app, website, doesn't matter, third party, however you get to us. You can pick it up curbside, you can pick it up in a hot locker, you can pick it up in a window, you can do a drive-through, you can sit down and eat it in our picnic tables. We're going to take all the friction out of access to this quality organic direct source food, and we're going to bring some really fun genres and really new genres to some people. Authentic Italian is not Buca di Beppo, people. Okay, Olive Garden is not Italian food. Okay, nobody in Italy eats Olive Garden. Okay, so we're going to bring some really good quality food to the masses, and the goal here is obviously scale. We're looking at 5 years and between 200 and 300 locations minimum. But these new models of being venue agnostic, you give me 600 square feet, I can open 8 restaurants in that space, and I can do it anywhere, inside of a grocery store, inside of a office building. C3 from SBE is doing it inside of an apartment building right now. So we're on that train, and we're hoping to become a leader in that area in the next couple of years.
That's amazing. Bringing the thunder, I love it. Can't wait to be able to experience some of those brands. That sounds
first thing everybody says. When are you coming to X town?
Where's where are the first ones happening around New York? Is what you're saying, or?
Yeah, no. So actually, we pivoted. So my partner in New York will be coming out here. We're doing an LA basin, so Santa Barbara to San Diego launch, starting in the suburbs around LA first. So hub and spoke model, right? We're going to build the wheel around LA. We're going to span off into the tertiary markets, the commuter markets, the residential. We want to really serve people where they are, and maybe areas people don't expect it, right? Kind of in those areas that maybe is a risk. When you build a pod, I can move it in 3 days. It might cost me 13, 15 grand to move it, but I can move it. So if we
try some different things, and
we can try some different things, and same with the brands. If there's 6 brands in that unit, and one is not performing, we'll figure out what's missing. We'll ask the customer, what would you rather have? What are you not ordering, and what can't you get? And that kind of data-driven decision making
in real time,
on the foundation of built on the pillars and the foundation, the bedrock of good business and operational experience, we think is going to be a winning formula.
Very cool. Time's flying. I want to know, you've been in business, from Bennigan's years ago to now. What would Troy in 2021 want to say to Troy from 20 years ago, from I guess 15, 20 years ago when you started as a kitchen manager? Any advice you'd go, if you went back in time, that you'd give the younger self, like the younger Troy?
That's a fun one. I've made some fun, crazy decisions in my life. I went and lived in the Caribbean for 5 years, right? I just, boom, gone. The first one, and this is on Facebook, a lot of people ask this question. The first one is invent Amazon now. That's what I should have told myself. It kills me when I hear Gary Vee tell his origin story and how he was sitting in his friend's bedroom and the AOL thing went off. The modem thing went off, and he saw people in a chat room like trying to sell each other things. I wish I had that light bulb moment, because I was there that day too. I was there. The day Prodigy was a box on a cable box attached to your TV. Forget it, kids. Don't worry about what I'm talking about. But stick with it. I mean, your passion, let me just tell you, your passion is the secret ingredient, the secret sauce. And the one thing people have always told me is I would buy ice from an Eskimo if you were the Eskimo, because you're passionate, you know what you're talking about, you care about it, you believe it. I know you eat your own food here. I know you drink your own sauce here. So that's the ingredient. I think a lot of people try to be what they think other people want them to be, or what they think this the successful version of them looks like. And they don't live the experience and enjoy the journey, and they lose their authenticity. So just be authentic. And gosh, in this day and age, I met a girl today who is passionate about artwork on beer cans. She thinks that there's just this whole ecosystem in the world about why the artwork tells the story of the beer and the origin. Man, that is really specific. She's got a podcast about artwork on beer cans. Look, there's anything you want to be and anything you want to do, you can do if you are authentic to yourself and you just share your passion and just live. And it's okay if that changes, by the way. You know what? I've had a lot of careers. I've had a lot of side careers. I've done a lot of things on the side for fun, and gone real deep into hobbies. We're all multidimensional. It's okay to be 5 people, because you are.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Obviously, time's flying. I said that 60 minutes would probably go really quickly. I want to shoot a couple of questions, because it was fun to get to know you at the beginning. So a couple of rapid fire before you wrap this up. Are you a wine, beer? You enjoy a drink here and there?
Oh, yes.
Are you more a wine, beer, or spirit guy?
I don't drink beer. That's the answer. I love wine. I love a lot of things about a lot of wine, and I go to a cocktail first, and then I finish it with a wine.
Favorite cocktail?
generally a very high quality rum sipped with a single cube.
Beautiful. The best trip you've ever taken?
Ooh, that's hard. I've been a lot of places. I owned a luxury travel business at one time. It depends on what. For me, again, that out island places nobody's been. Dominica in the Southern Caribbean is in St. Lucia. If you want the luxury side, and St. Lucia is amazing, but Dominica, the nature island, it has a very special place in my heart.
Very cool. 3 words that best describe you.
Wow, getting deep. Okay. Passionate, committed, and loyal.
Don't know you much, but they seem fair.
Yeah, accurate. Seem like it goes with the story.
Yep. From what I've seen, from what I know, I think I can agree with that. You've been to many islands, but you get parachuted on a desert island. You can bring 1 album of music. What would that be? That's a hard one, huh?
50-50 toss-up is not super hard. It's really one of 2 things. So it's going to be Phil Collins with "In the Air Tonight" and that album. I forget the name. I don't remember the name. I'm a weird one. I'm an old school guy. I love me some Bad Company. Most people don't even know who I'm talking about, but yeah, some good Southern not hard, pop rock, whatever you want to call it. Big hair, 80s rock, Bad Company.
I love it. If you could have dinner with anyone, living or dead?
Martin Luther King Jr.
Amazing.
MLK. Yep, MLK. We're going to sit down and we are going to talk and he had a smoke and he had a cocktail, and he and I could talk a lot. That's all. There's no question. Number 1.
That's amazing. Troy, thank you so much for your time. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way? If they want to grow their brand, they want to learn more about what you do, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, thanks. Troy, TROY, at krpusa.com. Troy at krpusa.com. Comes right to me. Have it right here on my phone, 24/7, 365. Look, it's not, happy to help anybody. I'd rather give some advice and send people in a direction. We don't charge hourly. We don't take really, really small, consultations I'd rather just give you that for free and spend some time with you, get to know you and help you out. We have our niche, we have our genre, we know where we're at, and everybody else is welcome to reach out and love to know what you're up to. And I get inspired and hey, I get ideas, right? And love to talk shop with anybody. Really do.
If you guys are curious, you wanna reach out, there's nothing like sending an email, jumping on a call, getting to know Troy, and then saying, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Does that make sense or not? And then at least either you can move forward or either at least you have a clear head of where you're at. Troy, it was a pleasure to receive you today. Thanks for coming and sharing with us. And to everybody else, we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Chris. Glad to be here. Really appreciate it.
Bye.